Tonight, we have breaking news as we come on air. A natural, at-home solution for memory loss is being hailed by top health officials as the definitive breakthrough in the fight against Alzheimer's. What we're seeing today is the dawn of a new beginning for the 42.5 million Americans affected by Alzheimer's, dementia, and cognitive decline. Clinical tests already confirm that this groundbreaking discovery not only prevents, stops, and reverses the devastating effects of neurological diseases, but can also boost cognitive abilities. What's even more surprising, however, is that the solution doesn't come from high tech. It's not a chip. It's not a new drug. As strange as it may seem, it all comes down to a beautiful blue flower combined with a powerful Himalayan honey discovered by Dr. Ben Carson himself. Preliminary reports are causing an uproar in traditional medicine, with data showing it to be up to 40 times more effective than any Alzheimer's medication currently on the market. Testimonies are flooding the internet that over 17,000 Americans have already experienced a stunning reversal of a condition once considered incurable. Among them, a story of incredible hope from Hollywood star Sharon Stone.
I honestly couldn't be left alone. The words were in my head, but I couldn't get them out. And when I tried, it just made no sense. I'd forget the names of friends I've known my whole life. I'd forget entire conversations and events. Eventually, I even started to have seizures. My husband couldn't handle the situation and left me. I lost my kids too. I was lost, confused, and scared all the time. But the worst part was feeling so utterly alone. Then one day, my dear friend introduced me to Dr. Carson. Somehow, she convinced me to become one of his first patients to use his 2-ingredient recipe. After 3 weeks of taking the mixture daily, I noticed the fog in my brain was clearing. I could focus and I could organize my thoughts. I could remember. Today, I can say I've completely reversed my condition and can enjoy life normally again beside my children. But it's even better now because I know I've gained a second chance.
This research is the result of a decade of commitment from Dr. Ben Carson in finding a definitive solution for the condition that took away his mother's best years in 2017. Now, after 46,000 brain scans and a global investigation, the results are nothing short of stunning. 97% of participants in the trials have shown significant cognitive improvements, and 9 out of 10 patients diagnosed with dementia showed clear signs of reversal. Tonight, we are honored to have the man who led this mission with us, Dr. Ben Carson, a neurosurgeon with the gifted hands who performed the first successful separation of conjoined twins and became the youngest chief of pediatric neurosurgery at 33 years old. Thank you for being here to explain what these ingredients are and how they could be the answer millions of families have been waiting for.
Thank you, David. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to praise the Lord for providing me the tool to conquer this mission, my brain, and for guiding me down the right paths. If today I'm here proudly announcing the end of a centenary search, it's because the Lord has opened up a door for me once again. Now, millions of people, from patients to their families, will be impacted by what's about to be revealed, and they can start using this approach today to feel noticeable improvements in their cognition and memory within a few short weeks. This will be remembered as the biggest leap of brain health medicine of the 21st century. But I really need you to pay close attention to what I'm about to share because, honestly, I don't know how long this broadcast will stay on the air. Ever since I started making this information public, I've been receiving threats telling me to stay quiet. But as a doctor, a son, and a Christian, it's my duty to share this with as many people as possible. I've spent 30 years on the front lines of neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Children's Center, where I performed the first successful separation of conjoined twins, and as a professor at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. I'm a graduate of the University of Michigan with a specialization in neurosurgery, but as strange as it sounds, even with all the recognition I've received around the world, I had to face this enemy up close, watching its shadow fall over my own family. 10 years ago, I started noticing small, frightening changes in my own mother. She'd get confused about the time of day, she was constantly repeating herself and forgetting food in the oven. And you might be thinking, well, it's normal to forget things as we get older, but that's simply not true. Frequent memory lapses, that brain fog, difficulty remembering simple things. You see, those aren't just signs of aging. They are actually warning signs that the brain is starting to slowly shut down. Now, here's the good news. Today, you're going to learn a simple 2-ingredient recipe, the very same one that helped reverse more than 17,000 people's dementia. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find it in time to fix my mother's mind and allow her to live her best years with clarity and confidence. But there is still time for you or a loved one. Maybe you've put your hopes in expensive treatments only to deal with terrible side effects like nausea, vomiting, or even the risk of brain bleeds from the newer drugs. Well, let me warn you, studies from the Alzheimer's Association itself show that 99% of all attempts to create an Alzheimer's drug have failed in clinical trials. That's why it's so important to understand that these so-called solutions are really just chains that keep you trapped in a cycle of false hope and disappointment. disappointment, they don't attack the root of the problem. Besides learning a honey-based natural recipe proven to help rejuvenate your brain, by watching this video, you'll also be able to leave behind that constant anxiety and the stress of living in fear of forgetting the things that matter most. So if you or someone close to you has been dealing with recent memory loss, misplacing things often, struggling to remember names or faces, or just feeling mentally drained most of the time, this could be the most important video you ever watch. And that's exactly why I want to be crystal clear. What I'm about to show you is unlike anything you've ever tried or heard of before, even from me in the past. What I've discovered about brain health is something never before revealed in the history of medicine. This completely natural solution targets the invisible villain that is draining your brain and helps bring your memory back to the sharpness of someone half your age. If you've read my book or watched the movie Gifted Hands, you know by now how important my relationship with my mother was to me. She was my greatest supporter, the only reason why I got this far in my journey. I thank God every day for bringing me into this world through this incredibly strong woman, but over time I started to notice her small slips becoming more frequent and more serious. As a doctor, I didn't want to admit it, but all the signs pointed to something devastating: Alzheimer's disease. Unfortunately, back then, around 2015, we didn't really understand what caused Alzheimer's. But now, there is an absolute consensus in medicine that memory is directly linked to a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which plays a critical role in the nervous system. If someone doesn't maintain healthy levels of acetylcholine in their brain, the chances of developing neurological disorders like Alzheimer's increase dramatically. Maintaining healthy levels of this neurotransmitter usually requires nothing more than nutrient-rich meals, because the brain does the rest. It's been designed to cleanse and repair and regenerate itself. Here's the real problem. Over the years, our brain starts to accumulate a silent threat, a kind of mental leech that latches onto your neurons and feeds on your acetylcholine. This leech is microplastic, and as it advances through your brain, the most important memories, like the faces of your loved ones, start to fade away. Think of your brain as a massive library. Acetylcholine is the librarian. Without it, you can't access your memories. And these particles of plastic are like a plague that corrodes the shelves, the books, and even the librarian himself. At first, it's the little things: where you left your keys, what you had for dinner last night, someone's name. But as the particles spread, even the most precious memories, like the faces of the people you love most, also begin to vanish. And the scariest part, no one is safe. These particles are everywhere. We are exposed to microplastics every single day without even knowing it. It's in the soil, in our water, and even in the air we breathe. The food we eat is drenched in it, not only from industrialized processes, but also because it's so deep in the soil that even organic food is not immune to it. Old plumbing systems release plastic into our drinking water, and the air in our cities is filled with this heavy poison thanks to bad waste management and industry emissions. Recent studies confirm that particles of microplastics can already be found in the brains of babies in their mother's wombs. So over the years, without realizing it, we slowly accumulate more and more of this poison inside of us. People work hard to take care of their bodies, but they have no idea what's happening inside their brains. It's no wonder that millions of people around the world are silently losing their memories, their independence, and their very lives to dementia. And that's exactly what happened to my mother. Well, I admit, as a doctor, I didn't want to believe how serious the situation was, but reality hit me like a runaway train one Sunday afternoon during a visit to my mother's house 10 years ago. My mother was flipping through one of our old photo albums. I sat down next to her. She turned a page and stopped at a picture of us when I was around 20 at my graduation. She smiled, looked at the photo, then turned to me and said with a sincerity that broke my heart,
"What a nice-looking boy. Who is he?"
Hoping it was just a moment of confusion, or maybe she was wondering which of her sons that was, I told her that it was me on my graduation by her side. That's when I saw it in her eyes. She was confused. She strained, frowned, and looking somewhat ashamed, said she needed to go home. She was in her own house. The lapse was huge and preceded the roughest years of my life, because from that moment on, I felt my mother's mind slipping through my fingers like sand, quickly and unstoppably. When she passed away in November 2017, I was terrified this would be the legacy I would one day pass on to my children. Terrified that my mind would crumble, that I would cease to be the pillar of security for my family, that I would become a burden, turning my wife and children into caregivers, and that instead of being a source of pride and laughter, I would become a source of pity and grief, just as I had felt with my mother. In her final moments, my mother had no idea who I was. She had no recollection of ever being a mother. She was confused and scared, and she wanted to go home so desperately. This was her reality for the last 2 years of her life. As I grew up and struggled through college and medical school and life's many challenges, my mother had always been my rock, faithful, unshakable, a pillar from which I took strength. To see her that way completely shook me. In that instant, I wasn't Dr. Ben Carson. I was just a son, a father, and a husband afraid of putting my family in the same position I had been, erased from the memory of the person I admired most. The night she passed, I stayed in the living room looking at that photo again, completely overcome by this feeling of helplessness. Years of study, access to the best doctors in the world, and none of it mattered. I felt guilty for neglecting her condition. What good was my academic career and fame if in my own family I had allowed that to happen? Something inside me changed in that moment. I was furious. serious. I knew it was human greed that had caused this disease. After all, 50 years ago, Alzheimer's and dementia were rare. Today, they're becoming the rule. Cognitive decline was common only after 80 and far less severe, according to the Alzheimer's Disease International records. As I wrestled with my pain, I turned to my faith, as I always do. And in that moment, I felt God reach out to me again, giving me a new mission. After my prayer for comfort, I opened the Bible at random, and a passage jumped out at me. It felt like it was speaking directly to me. I couldn't read anything else besides this passage, which I now have framed on my wall. Genesis 50:20. Joseph told his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Then it hit me. That was my mission. The deep pain of losing my mother, the anguish of watching her slowly fade away, was the fire I needed to find a solution so no family would have to go through what I did, and that's exactly what I set out to do. I was going to use every resource, every contact, and all my energy to find a way to eradicate this disease, no matter the cost. It took years and years of study. Eventually, after hundreds of thousands of brain scans, it became clear the condition had nothing to do with genetics or age, but I had no idea how to safely get rid of the microplastics that I knew were building up inside people's brains. Modern science still had no safe way to remove it. It felt like an impossible battle. But with my faith in God and the memory of my mother, I began the most exhaustive investigation of my career from the shadows. I used my platform at the government at the time and my contacts to access every known therapy, and I had already gotten consent from family members and patients of a nursing home in Florida. We tested everything from diets to supplements, meditation, cognitive stimulation, and even light, sound, and frequency therapies. Things like omega-3s, nootropics, and drugs like Namenda, Exelon, and Aricept. But nothing worked. At that point, I had figured out I had two clear goals. First, I had to eliminate the microplastic accumulated in the patient's systems to cleanse their brain of this memory-destroying poison. Second, I had to restore the acetylcholine that had been depleted so that they could retrieve their memories, reasoning, and learning abilities. I started with step one. Technically speaking, I needed a natural chelator, something that could bind the microplastic particles and flush them from the brain without dangerous side effects. There are drugs for plastic and metal detox, but they are incredibly harsh, and most can't even cross the blood-brain barrier. I needed something gentle, natural, and powerful. I couldn't risk making people's condition worse. Months went by in my investigation, and I was just going in circles, hitting one wall after another in conventional medicine. That's when I decided to change tactics. If the answer wasn't in the future of medicine, maybe it was in the past. After all, Alzheimer's and dementia were not an issue 50 years ago. They're a modern time condition. I began a deep dive investigation and found out about the blue zones of the mind, remote places in the world with inexplicably low and even non-existent rates of dementia. My research led me to an isolated village in the Himalayas. According to records, the elders there maintained stunning mental clarity well into their final years. I went there with a team of independent scientists, and what we saw was breathtaking. Local beekeepers climbing sheer cliffs with ropes, risking their lives just to harvest a rare, dense honey they called cedar honey. Local legend said this honey, produced by bees that feed on a sacred lotus flower, cleansed the blood of poisons. I took a sample to be analyzed at the labs at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, and the results were shocking. The honey had an extremely high concentration of natural chelators. I had the first piece of the puzzle, the method to cleanse the brain of the plastic, but I already knew this was only half the battle. Still, we started giving a carefully measured dose of cedar honey every morning to the patients of the nursing home, mixed into warm water, and then we waited, watching them closely, the heart full of hope for any sign of improvement. After a few days, the nurses noticed they seemed a little more alert. It wasn't dramatic, but it was something. Still, while the honey was helping to clear out the plastic, their memories weren't coming back. We needed something to rebuild the connections the microplastic had destroyed. That's when my faith in God's provision came in hand. My wife and I had planned a vacation trip to celebrate our anniversary, and for whatever reason, we decided to go to Malaysia. During our time there, we found a beautiful convent named Bukit Nanas, which is known for its iconic heritage building and its contribution to education in Malaysia. While we visited, the nuns spoke to us about their work with the children and how proud they were of the many bright minds they formed there. I remember being stunned by how the older Carmelite sisters seemed so full of energy. With such sharp minds, they could recite entire verses from the Bible by heart. And I noticed all the kids were given blue tea to drink with their meals. I asked about it to the sister who was accompanying us, and she said it was made from local butterfly pea flowers, and it was given to children every morning to feed their brains. She went on, explaining that it was a local tradition to give this plant to children to help them with their studies, and to the elderly to keep their minds from weakening, as well as to control their blood sugar levels. Quickly, I told her about my investigation and my mission to find an answer that Western medicine didn't have. She listened patiently, then took me to their garden and let me pick a couple of dozen flowers. Then she wrote a note with the instructions on how they made their tea and handed it to me. We said our goodbyes, then my wife and I went back to my hotel room, where I spent hours researching everything I could about the plant. Study after study confirmed what the sister had said. Under certain conditions, the The extract from this plant not only was a powerful antioxidant, but also had the potential to boost neurogenesis, the formation of new neurons and synapses in the brain. In one particular report, scientists shared that its rich antioxidants, especially the anthocyanins that give it its vibrant color, have a remarkable neuroprotective effect. They help combat oxidative stress, one of the great villains of brain aging, and elevate acetylcholine levels, the crucial neurotransmitter for learning and memory. In a double-blind study conducted by Harvard neuroscientists in 2024, patients aged 60 to 80 with memory difficulties were tested for memory and mood. 72 individuals were randomly assigned to receive butterfly pea extract daily for 3 months. Based on the results, the researchers calculated that these participants' cognitive clock was turned back by 12 years. 12 years of brain rejuvenation. I couldn't understand why these studies weren't flooding the news. Back in the nursing home, we added both the butterfly pea flower and the cedar honey to the patient's daily routine. Every morning, the nurses would prepare a simple tonic, mixing a dose of butterfly pea extract into a spoonful of pure cider honey. The honey to flush out the particles of microplastic, and the plant to help regenerate their acetylcholine levels and shield the brain from future contamination. At first, nothing seemed to change, I admit. I started to feel like I was back at square one, but around the second week, little miracles started to happen. The patient's memories were coming back, bit by bit. That foggy, confused look in their eyes gave way to something brighter, more focused. Some in more advanced stages of the disease, who could barely sit on their beds, started to focus better, being able to speak more clearly with the nurses and showing interest in old hobbies. Others, who couldn't even remember having children, started asking to phone their sons and daughters to ask how they had been. One particular afternoon, we were able to record a beautiful moment between mother and daughter when Catherine, who had lost all recollection of her daughter for almost an entire year, finally remembered Katie. I couldn't hold back the tears. It was like watching a rebirth. A mother was coming back to her daughter, just like I prayed mine could have come back to me. How many other families out there deserve the same chance to get their loved ones back? So I invested my own savings in getting the purest compounds directly from their places of origin to give small batches of my own almost homemade formula to other diagnosed people or family members who had heard testimonies of the former patients of the nursing home. And the results? Well, I'll let them speak for themselves.
For years now, I had started to feel behind in work. My brain seemed unable to keep up. But in the first week of using Dr. Carson's formula, I was able to get my mental clarity back, and I have never been more productive in my life.
Ever since I started taking that little mixture Dr. Carson gave me, my life has completely changed. The worst part of having Alzheimer's was being a burden and seeing the worry in my children's eyes in my rare lucid moments, when I could actually still recognize them. It was heartbreaking, but now that worry is gone, I can recognize everyone again. I talk normally with my children and grandchildren. They tell me their stories, and I remember everything. I interact with them like my mind is younger than ever. I can sit and have long conversations, recalling memories I thought were lost forever. I feel like I've been reborn, and I'll say it plain and simple. This is real. I'm living proof.
Before I met Dr. Carson, I thought my life was basically over. The Alzheimer's diagnosis hit me hard. I was always independent, but suddenly I couldn't even go for a walk by myself without getting lost. I was at rock bottom. When my daughter told me about this natural recipe, I laughed and said, if expensive drugs didn't work, there's no way some herbal tea is going to fix me. But I had nothing to lose, and wow. Within a month, things started to make sense again. This discovery changed my life. I will be eternally grateful.
Hearing these stories filled me with joy and certainty. My mission wasn't over. As a scientist, I knew I needed to take the next step to validate this solution on a much larger scale, with rigorous scientific backing, to be able to provide it to the millions of other troubled souls who were praying for this miracle. With the help of my former colleagues from Johns Hopkins and the Harvard community, we organized a clinical study with about 2,100 volunteers, men and women between the ages of 45 and 90. They ranged from those experiencing only mild cognitive impairment to patients in the most advanced stages of Alzheimer's. They came from all walks of life with different lifestyles and genetic backgrounds, but they all shared one thing in common: the desire to reclaim their minds. After just 8 weeks of treatment using the mixture of these two ingredients, the results were simply astonishing. We saw that the particles of microplastic, the same modern life poison that had stolen so many memories, were being flushed from their bodies. Even more remarkably, the production of acetylcholine, the most important neurotransmitter responsible for memory, skyrocketed in an incredible 98% of participants. And with that came significant improvements in cognitive function. Anxiety, irritability, and brain fog practically vanished. An incredible 96% of participants had their disease's progression completely halted. In other words, Alzheimer's was stopped in its tracks and even began to reverse. And 87% recovered lost cognitive abilities, getting back to handling their daily routines independently.
My mother had become aggressive. She no longer recognized my children. We were seriously considering putting her in a memory care facility, but thanks to Dr. Carson, my kids can now spend time with their grandmother, and I don't have to figure out how to pay for a $90,000 facility that I couldn't even tell for sure would take good care of my mother.
And here's the best part. None of the volunteers had to take additional medications or suffer through painful treatments. None. It was all 100% natural and free of side effects. When I saw those results, I could hardly believe it. We had undeniable scientific proof that this formula worked. But what I didn't expect was the deception that followed. What I'm about to tell you is shocking. As a former government employee, I had the chance to present these findings to the president of one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. But what happened next left me speechless. Instead of being excited, he scoffed at me. Luckily, I recorded part of our conversation.
We can't patent a natural cure, so we can't be the only ones selling it. That means we won't make any money. In fact, we'd lose the money we make now from our current medicine, and we'd go broke. So do me a favor. We'll offer you $200 million for everything. Your research, your suppliers, the whole package. In return, you sign an NDA and let us take it from here.
That day, I felt like I'd been stabbed in the back. All I could think was, how can people be so corrupt? Of course, I refused the offer. That's when I finally realized most of these products are designed not to work long term. They're made to keep people hooked, just enough to keep the profits rolling in. It's all part of a gigantic system that feeds on our pain. To give you an idea, the Alzheimer's industry rakes in over $90 billion a year. An American diagnosed with Alzheimer's can cost their family nearly $400,000 in medication and care, costs that only increase as the disease progresses, all with zero hope of a cure. Now imagine having access to a solution that is affordable, natural, and free of side effects. That's precisely why they want to hide this information. I'm taking a huge risk by sharing the truth with you. The threats I've received are very real. My Instagram account has already been taken down 4 times because of this, but this is my mission, to bring you the whole truth. So please listen carefully, because this next part is the most important of this entire video. After that meeting, along with other researchers from Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and Yale, we expanded our test even further, this time including volunteers as young as 28, and the results were clear. This was the most effective solution we had ever seen for boosting brain power. We spent almost an entire year reviewing studies and perfecting our process. We imported honey directly from the Himalayas. We partnered with small-scale farmers of butterfly pea in rural Malaysia, but the research wasn't without its challenges. The first major problem, pure versions of these nutrients are rare and expensive. Sure, you can find cider honey online or even try to grow butterfly pea at home, but the effectiveness lies in the purity of the formula, and that only happens when all the conditions are perfect: temperature, altitude, and soil nutrients. When exposed to heat or humidity outside the Himalayas, the honey lost its properties, and the butterfly pea flower oxidized easily, becoming unstable when it came into contact with air. This was a huge obstacle, so I started reaching out to labs, asking them to produce small batches using only the purest, most concentrated forms of these ingredients. Most of them flatly refused, citing conflicts of interest. But the truth is, many were involved in that same corrupt system I mentioned earlier. Fortunately, at that moment, I received another divine help, this time in the form of an angel investor, a patient who had participated in initial tests, who shared my pain after losing his own father to Alzheimer's, and who had been fighting his own mental decline until he found our solution. An important and famous figure, whom you've probably seen in movies, but who I won't reveal here for privacy and security reasons. When he heard about our struggles, he reached out and offered to help. And so today I can proudly say, if you're struggling with any stage of Alzheimer's or dementia, or if you're worried that everyday forgetfulness could be the first sign of something worse, those fears end right now. Today is the day you say goodbye to memory loss and cognitive decline. Today, you start a new chapter in your life. From this moment on, your only worry will be choosing which stories you want to relive first and which new memories you're going to create, because your mind will finally be clear, focused, and sharp enough to cherish every moment again. After years of research, months of hard work, and tough negotiations, we are now producing small batches through a top-tier pharmaceutical lab and a GMP-certified manufacturing facility right here in the United States. We've spent countless hours fine-tuning this formula to perfection, and that's what made this video possible today. That's why my reputation, my entire career, is sealed inside every single bottle that leaves our US laboratory. And it's why I insist you experience this weapon against forgetfulness, and that I take all the risk for a full 6 months. It is with immense pride that we especially created for you Neurocept. It is the only formula on the planet that dared to combine the best-kept secret of Himalayan monks, the rare cedar honey, with the purest, most potent butterfly pea flower in the exact dosages used in clinical studies on memory loss reversal. But the real secret isn't just in the ingredients, it's in our military-grade delivery technology. Every molecule of Neurocept's power is protected by our patented NeuroCoat technology. Think of it as an armored transport capsule, an impenetrable pectin film that escorts the nutrients through the acidic storm of your stomach, ensuring they are released at the precise point in your intestine for 100% absorption into your bloodstream. This means every gram of neural cleansing and rebuilding power reaches its final destination in contact, your brain. This formula not only declares war on the true root cause of your memory loss, the microplastic particles suffocating your neurons, but it also floods your brain with acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter of clarity, so you can reclaim your independence and the memories you thought were lost forever. All of this with zero side effects. But here is what truly places Neurocept light years ahead of anything you've ever seen. After a rigorous process, Neurocept wasn't just cleared. It achieved something that makes 99% of supplements on the market look like sugar pills. It received the exceedingly rare FDA seal of confirmed efficacy. Look, anyone can put manufactured in an FDA-approved facility on their label. That just means the place is clean. It says nothing about what's inside the bottle. But the seal of confirmed efficacy is an earthquake in the industry. It is an official declaration based on robust clinical trials that attest not just to safety but to effectiveness. The FDA has confirmed that Neurocept isn't just harmless. It actively interrupts the degenerative process and stimulates the rebuilding of new neural connections. It is irrefutable proof that it delivers the symptom reversal it promises. It's in a category of one. I want you to look into your family's eyes and see relief, not worry. I want you to finish Sunday's crossword puzzle and feel that sharp pride of knowing that you are still here. Starting today, the choice to fight with the right weapon is yours, and it's simpler than you can imagine. Just one capsule a day with a glass of water. Before you even finish your morning coffee, the Neurocept formula will already be waging a war inside your brain at a cellular level to expel the plastic particles and reignite your mind. It doesn't matter your age or how hopeless your situation may seem. Neurocept was engineered to win because it doesn't put a band-aid on the symptoms, it annihilates the cause of the problem. My team and I have faced giants to bring this truth to you, and now the power is in your hands. But don't just take my word for it. Listen to what doctors and specialists who were once the biggest skeptics were forced to admit after seeing the evidence with their own eyes.
My life's work has been about finding the root cause of diseases, not masking symptoms. And I can say this unequivocally. Neurocept, created by Dr. Ben Carson, is a watershed moment in the fight against cognitive decline. When I first heard about the healing potential of natural ingredients for memory loss, I was skeptical, but the science left no room for doubt. This compound doesn't just remove this poison from the brain, it reactivates the natural production of acetylcholine, the very neurotransmitter that keeps our memory, focus, and identity alive. I followed dozens of patients on the protocol. What I saw wasn't just improvement, it was a reversal. People who were already on the decline regaining clarity, autonomy, and life. This isn't a palliative, it is the beginning of the end for mental degeneration. And frankly, it's something mainstream medicine is still ignoring. If you're already noticing slips, forgetfulness, and confusion, start Neurocept and do not stop. I take it myself, even without symptoms, because the cleansing it provides the brain is essential to keeping my mind sharp until my last day.
Unlike my James, I survived the virus during the pandemic, but it felt like the loss I endured, combined with the illness, left my mind in constant chaos. My memories felt like sand slipping through a sieve. After he was gone, I promised I would be the family's rock, but I became a burden. I saw the exhaustion on my children's faces, their silent worry, and I knew I was becoming the epicenter of their pain. But Neurocept pulled me out of that abyss. Today, the fog is lifted. I'm not just remembering my James, I'm reliving our most precious moments. Neurocept didn't just give me back my memory, it gave me back my dignity and allowed me to finally be the rock my family needs.
A few months ago, if you asked me what I had for lunch the day before, I honestly wouldn't know what to say. But after I started using Neurocept, at 86 years old, I was able to direct and star in my new film. Not only was it a success, but I also became the oldest man in the world to win an Oscar. Without Neurocept, I couldn't have done it.
I recently got the news that my diagnosis was reversed. My scans are clean. Dr. Carson even suggested I could probably stop taking Neurocept, but I won't. This formula didn't just bring back memories, it brought back a mental clarity and energy I haven't felt since my 30s. When I got the starter kit, I used it up so fast I ran out halfway through. I can't risk that again. I've now secured more bottles, so I never run out because I never want to go back to that mental fog. Never again.
And they are not alone. Over 17,000 men and women around the world are already reclaiming their memories and reversing the signs of dementia. Now it's your turn to finally break free. Take back your independence and ensure you never become a burden to the people you love. After our first batch was released, demand exploded. The news spread like wildfire. Our current stock is already almost gone, and because of the incredible results and the growing buzz, Neurocept has even caught the attention of the media. Some celebrities have shared their results on social media. Young professionals are now also using it, not just to protect their brains, but to boost focus and performance at work. But before we go any further, I need to warn you. Most people buy several bottles at once, so we don't know how long our current supply will last. And at this rate, it's likely to sell out in just a few hours. Right now, there are only 79 bottles left, so you need to act fast if you want to reserve your order today and avoid waiting another several months. You see, Neurocept is produced in small batches every 6 months to ensure it meets the highest standards of quality and purity. So if you want a brain that stays young and sharp no matter your age, you are in exactly the right place. Neurocept is the only formula on the market today that offers this kind of transformation with zero side effects. And that transformation is finally within your reach, because Neurocept contains everything you need to win the battle against cognitive decline once and for all. It doesn't matter if you've tried omega-3s, nootropics, or even drugs like Namenda, Exelon, Aricept, or Leqembi. I'm here to tell you that nothing is as effective as Neurocept. It doesn't matter your genetics, your diet, or even your age. What would it be worth to you to have total independence for the rest of your life? Never have to depend on your family and keep your memory sharp and intact. I imagine it's priceless. Because for me, seeing what happened to my mother, there is no amount of money that can measure the value of what I can never get back. Over the decades, I've seen so many families completely drained, eventually leaving their loved ones with Alzheimer's in nursing homes, helpless. That's why I need to stress this clearly. Right now, you have the greatest opportunity to keep your mind young, healthy, and independent while you can still remember the faces of the people you love most. Do you have any idea what happened when I posted online that we might be releasing the final batch of Neurocept? I was flooded with messages from people saying they would pay up to $1,000 for a single bottle. And honestly, when you realize that after using Neurocept, you'll never have to spend another dime on brain supplements or Alzheimer's medication, $1,000 would actually be more than fair. But I also understand that not everyone can afford that kind of investment, so I'm going to do something even better. I want you to be our next success story, the next person to take back your memory, your identity, and your life. And to celebrate your transformation, I'm going to go one step further. The first 10 people to order Neurocept today will receive a private one-on-one Zoom consultation with me personally. And that's not all. You'll also receive a $3,000 gift card from Carnival Cruise Line. You can use it to take the whole family on a dream trip or enjoy a few getaways with a loved one. The choice is yours. And why am I doing this? Because I don't just want you to preserve your memories, I want you to create new ones. I want you to celebrate your victory over Alzheimer's. I want you to enjoy the beautiful life God intended for you. But remember, this offer is only for the first 10 people who act now. Let me be clear, this isn't about money. It's about saving lives, about saving families. Because I know exactly what it's like to watch someone you love fade away in front of you, day after day, and feel completely helpless. I know what it's like to hold your spouse's trembling hand and ask, why isn't anything working? Neurocept has already changed the lives of over 17,000 people around the world. Men and women who have recovered priceless memories and have gone back to living fully, free from the clutches of Alzheimer's. Now it's your turn. And that's why, despite all the research, all the rare ingredients, and everything it took to make this possible, I'm not asking you to pay $1,000 a bottle. You're not even going to pay half of that. Not $500, not even $250. Here's how it works. You get the absolute best value by getting the 6-bottle kit where you'll only pay for 3. Yes, you heard that right. We'll give you 3 bottles for free. That comes out to just $49 per bottle, our lowest price ever. And it's a one-time payment, no subscriptions, no hidden fees, just complete brain support for months. You can also choose our medium kit where you buy 3 bottles. You'll pay for 2 and get 1 free for just $69 per bottle for a full 3 months of treatment. And we also have the starter option where you choose 2 bottles and get a 40% discount. In that case, instead of $250, you'll pay just $79 per bottle. Even if you start with just 2 bottles, you'll be giving your body time to flush out years of accumulated microplastic and start restoring healthy brain function. But this offer is only available right now, directly on this page, and only while supplies last. Don't risk coming back later and seeing that the bottles are gone. Cider honey is incredibly rare. Its supply is naturally limited, and we only produce Neurocept in small batches every 6 months to preserve quality. So if you close this page now, your reserved bottles will immediately go to the next person in line, and I would hate for you to miss your chance. All you need to do to restore your memory, reclaim your independence, and start living the way you've always dreamed is to choose the right kit for you below this video. But hurry to be one of the first to secure this batch so you can get a free consultation with me and a gift card to go on a cruise with your family. Choose your kit below. For less than $3 a day, you'll get access to the most revolutionary brain formula on the market, cheaper than a cup of coffee, and much, much cheaper than long-term care in a facility. So click the button now. It will take you to a secure checkout page where you can select your treatment, enter your contact information, and confirm your order. You'll receive an email shortly after with all the details. And to show you how confident I am in Neurocept, everyone who buys today will be automatically entered into a grand prize sweepstakes, an all-expenses paid trip to Tuscany, Italy for you and your guests. You'll stay at a 5-star all-inclusive resort and have the time of your life, creating beautiful new memories with the people you love most. But please remember, there are only 79 bottles left in stock, and with so many people ordering 3, 6, or even 12 bottles at a time, this offer could be gone within the hour. Once the stock runs out, the purchase buttons below this video will be disabled, so select your preferred kit below right now. If you live in the US, you'll receive your order within 3 to 5 business days, depending on your location. If you're overseas, it might take a little longer, but never more more than 15 days. And if you have any questions, our support team is available 24/7 by email or phone, ready to help you at any time. Important note, Neurocept is only available through this official page. You won't find it anywhere else. Neurocept is not available on Amazon, eBay, GNC, or Walgreens. We've removed all the middlemen so we can offer you the best possible price right here on our official website. And because you've stayed with me this far, your bottles are reserved. But if you close this page, they will be released to the next person in line. So click the button below right now to secure your discount and your order. And listen, while we've received hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, I completely understand if you're still skeptical. After all, Big Pharma has been lying to you for decades, telling you there's no cure for Alzheimer's. They don't want you to discover something simple, natural, and affordable, because then you wouldn't keep spending a fortune on the fake solutions they push year after year. It's no surprise they spend over $179 million a year just to keep people like you from knowing the truth. So to prove that our solution works and that you have absolutely nothing to worry about, you're covered by our 180-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. If for any reason you're not completely satisfied with Neurocept, which has never happened so far, just send us an email and we will refund 100% of your money. No questions, no hassles. Like I said, your investment is 100% secure. Either you get your memory back or you pay nothing. It's that simple. You don't have to say yes right now. All I'm asking for is a maybe. You have a full 6 months to decide, but you'll likely start noticing the results in the very first week and realize it was one of the best decisions you've ever made. And why am I doing this? Because unlike the big drug companies, I believe in what we've created. I know it works. So your risk is zero and your potential gain is life-changing. So click the button below before it's too late. And for those who are still with me, here's something special. When you order the 3 or 6 bottle kit, you'll also receive exclusive free gifts, including a digital copy of my best-selling book, The Super Gut Code. In it, I reveal how to reduce gut inflammation by 83% and lower your risk of heart disease by 62%. Normally, this rare edition sells online for $91, but today it's yours completely free. You'll also receive a copy of 101 Herbal Cures, co-authored with my friend and world-renowned naturopath Barbara O'Neill. This ebook reveals how to use natural herbs and compounds to treat high blood pressure, high cholesterol, arthritis, low libido, and more. For every one of these conditions, nature already has a solution. No side effects, no injections, no synthetic pills. This can save you hundreds or even thousands on doctor's visits and prescriptions every year. This digital book normally sells for $67, but today it's yours for free. These bonuses are only available right now, and only when you secure your Neurocept kit today. So don't wait. Click the button below, choose your kit, and take the first step toward restoring your memory and living the life you deserve. Not bad, right? All of these bonuses add up to hundreds of dollars, but you get them completely free when you order 3 bottles or more. What I'm offering here is unlike anything you've ever seen. Of the original 79 bottles in stock, we now have only 27 remaining. So please, secure your kit right now before it sells out. Just click the button below this video. Don't let Neurocept run out before you get your chance.
As soon as I started taking Neurocept, I felt my brain clearing out that brain fog. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, but after I started, not even my doctor could believe my progress. I reversed my diagnosis, and now I have a better memory than I did in my 30s.
Now I want you to imagine yourself just 1 month from now with a mind as sharp as it was in your 20s. Imagine living unforgettable moments with the people you love most, knowing those memories won't slip away. What is it worth to be truly you again, with your full story, identity, and clarity intact? To live without that constant fear of forgetting your own life? I'd say it's priceless. And today it's within your reach. So just scroll down and choose the best value 6-month kit or the kit that's right for you. Once you click on your choice, you'll be taken to an encrypted, secure checkout page. Just fill in your full name, phone number, and email, then enter the address where you want to receive your Neurocept kit. Finally, enter your payment details using a credit card, then click Buy Now. And don't worry, your information is completely protected by the same technology used in Amazon Shop. After that, we'll quickly send you your order in a discreet package for maximum privacy, but you have to act fast. With every minute that passes, your brain cells are under attack from that silent poison. Every day is a day you can't get back. And while you're thinking, others are securing their kits. Our stock is limited and could run out at any moment. Let's face it, there's no reason to put this off and risk the regret of missing this chance. Remember, Alzheimer's doesn't wait. Cognitive decline doesn't take a break. The only person who can take action is you. Imagine a few weeks from now, you or your loved one flipping through old photo albums, clearly remembering every special moment, waking up with energy and focus without the fear of drawing a blank, of losing your independence, or even endangering yourself or others. That's what Neurocept can do. So go ahead and secure your package now. Do it while we still have bottles available. And before this presentation is taken down by pressure from the pharmaceutical giants, this is the moment to act. And from here, you have only 2 choices. Option 1, you close this page, pretend you didn't see it, and go back to life as usual. Ignore the research, the discoveries, and the testimonials, and continue to believe that confusion, memory loss, and emotional disconnection are just a part of life. But if you've come this far, I know that's not what you want. Deep down, you know something has to change. You feel you you deserve more. Option 2, and the one I truly hope you choose, is to say yes to life, yes to mental freedom, and yes to a future where remembering is a gift, not a struggle. With just one click, you can begin your journey back to your memories, back to your relationships, and back to yourself. And here's the best part. You can do it all without harsh drugs, without expensive treatments, and without side effects. With Neurocept, you're taking a real, safe, and scientifically supported step toward a clearer, brighter, and more present mind. So ask yourself what changes if you let this moment pass. How much longer will you live with this fear of forgetting faces, names, places, and important dates? What is the cost to your family of watching you slowly fade away? The science has already shown there's a way out, and that way out is right in front of you. Choose your Neurocept kit below, the only 100% natural, safe, and proven formula designed to attack Alzheimer's and memory loss at the root. And remember, you are fully protected by our unconditional guarantee. You have time to try it. No risk, no pressure, full support.
I'll be honest. I asked for my money back the same day Neurocept arrived. My wife had bought it for me, and I was skeptical. I thought, here comes another bottle of empty promises. But their response shocked me. They refunded me on the spot and said, please, keep the product as our gift. Just try it. With nothing to lose, I tried it. And in the second week, the brain fog started to disappear. I didn't need my wife to finish my sentences anymore. And today I feel like my brain has reorganized itself. I finally know what it means to have mental clarity. Today I'm recording this for one reason. Neurocept works. And a company that trusts its product so much to do that deserves a recommendation.
This is the transformation I see happening every day. But time doesn't stop. The bottles are disappearing fast. Make the decision the future you will thank you for. Select the 6-month kit below right now. After you click the button, you'll be taken to our encrypted and secure order form where you can place your order using a credit card. We'll then immediately ship your bottles directly to your home. And no matter where you live, the 3 and 6 bottle kits come with free shipping and the brain-boosting bonuses we went through earlier, which you'll be able to access immediately. Click the button now and come celebrate your victory with us. The victory of a restored mind and a new life full of memories to enjoy. I can't wait to hear your transformation story. Thank you for listening. Until next time, God bless you.